Hello there, I'm Samantha Sheoprashad, Public Relations Officer at the Public Procurement Commission. Today we are taking a closer look at key concepts that underpins all public procurement decisions in Guyana, that is, thresholds in public procurement. Whether you're a public procurement officer, supplier, contractor, consultant, or just a concerned citizen, understanding thresholds is essential to knowing how, why, and when different procurement methods are used and which tender board has jurisdiction. Let's break it all down clearly and simply. What is a procurement threshold? There are two threshold categories within Guyana's public procurement framework. One applies to procurement methods, and the other one determines a tender board jurisdiction. Therefore, a threshold in procurement refers to monetary value that determines which method of procurement must be used for purchasing goods, construction work, or services with public funds and/or which tender board has jurisdiction over the evaluation of the tender. In either case, thresholds are usually classified by the type of contracts, that is, whether goods, services, or consultancy. Put simply, the higher the value of what's being procured, the more rigorous the procurement process needs to be. These thresholds are set out in the Procurement Act, Chapter 7305, and the regulations made thereunder, namely the Procurement Regulation of 2004. And their amendments. The legal instrument helps to ensure procurement is done fairly and transparently. Let's define a few important terms. Threshold, the minimum or maximum value that determines the methods and level of procurement. Tender board, body responsible for evaluating and awarding contracts based on value and type of procurement. These include national, regional, ministerial, departmental, and agency boards. Goods, physical items such as material, equipment, or electricity. Works or construction, activities like building, renovating, demolishing, or repairing infrastructure. Services, general services like pest control, weeding, security, cleaning, or maintenance, excluding construction or consulting. Consulting services, intellectual services such as research, engineering design, or legal advice. What does the law say? Under Section 54(1) of the Procurement Act, Cabinet is allowed to review procurements that exceed $50 million. In invoking the procurement process, it is important to first ascertain which tender board has the jurisdiction over the tender and what is the applicable procurement method. This all depends on the threshold prescribed by the already referenced legal instrument. The specific tender board thresholds are outlined in Schedule 1 of the Procurement Regulation and vary depending on the type of entity and the type of procurement. Let's take a look at the breakdown of the existing threshold by the entity and the type. The thresholds by entity and types are as follows. At the national level, goods and services, consulting services and works. These require the approval for contract exceeding the limits of all regional, ministerial, and agency boards. Contracts exceeding 15 million Guyana dollars requires the Cabinet no objection. For regional boards, goods and services has a threshold of 250,000 Guyana dollars to $8 million. For consulting services, you have the threshold of 400,000 Guyana dollars to 800,000 Guyana dollars. For works, the threshold is 600,000 Guyana dollars to 14 million Guyana dollars. Ministerial, departmental, and agency board. For goods and services, the threshold is 250,000 Guyana dollars to 1.5 million Guyana dollars. For consulting services, 400,000 Guyana dollars to 800,000 Guyana dollars. For works, 600,000 Guyana dollars to 2 million Guyana dollars. And now for ministries with distinct thresholds. Ministry of Public Works and Ministry of Agriculture. For goods and services, starting the threshold from 1 million to 6 million. Consulting services, 1 million to 5 million. And for works, 1 million to 40 million. Ministry of Health and Ministry of Home Affairs and Ministry of Education. For goods and services, 250,000 Guyana dollar to 1.5 million Guyana dollar. Consulting services is 400,000 to 800,000. And as it relates to works, 600,000 Guyana dollars to 8 million Guyana dollars. How do thresholds influence procurement methods? As mentioned before, thresholds don't just decide who approves what. They also determine how procurement is being done. According to Schedule 2 of the Procurement Regulations, here's how the method of procurement is chosen. The method of procurement by threshold is as follows. Restricted tendering for goods and services other than consulting services has a threshold of 10 million Guyana dollars. For works, the threshold is 20 million Guyana dollars. For the request of quotations, there's a threshold of 3 million Guyana dollars. As it relates to procurement through community participation, there is a threshold of 5 million Guyana dollars. It's important to know that open tendering is required above these thresholds unless an exception is granted by the National Procurement and Tender Administrative Board to permit single source procurement. There is no thresholds for these two types of procurement, open tendering and single source. These methods are supported by the following legal provisions. Why are thresholds important? Thresholds are not just numbers. They promote accountability by aligning authority with value, ensure fairness by matching the procurement method to the contract size, encourage efficiency so that small purchases are not bogged down by unnecessary bureaucracy, and they help to prevent corruption by applying standardized rules and oversight mechanisms. Let's recap. Thresholds are essential rules in procurement. They tell us who is responsible for approving a purchase and how that purchase must be made. These rules are grounded in the Constitution of Guyana and the procurement regulations. Staying informed about these thresholds helps suppliers, contractors, consultants, procuring entities, and the public to understand how procurement decisions are made and why. We hope this training video on thresholds and procurement has offered valuable insights into the ethical standards and the best practices that guide the public procurement in Guyana. For more information, resources, or assistance, please visit our website at www.pbc.org.gy or contact us directly. We're here to help you. On behalf of the Public Procurement Commission, I'm Samantha Sheoprashad, the Public Relations Officer, and I thank you for listening.